From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Ed Calderon. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, and Jeff Cesario drops in for the Chet Waterhouse Sports. And now, he'd never get into QAnon, not because it's insane. It would require him being able to use the internet. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice. We're going to mandate you get it on. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for sharing. We love that about you as we head toward year number 12 over here. Good day, Gina Grad. Oh, Gina's...
Good day to you.
There you go. And Bald Brian. Fuck the Jews.
Oh,
yeah.
The wind beneath my wings. I don't have all my powers back, but
he's your Robin to your Batman.
That's right.
Mike August reminded me of something funny, which maybe if the good people from Urban Dictionary are listening, they could put it on another coffee mug and give me credit for it. Something I said a while back that I'd completely washed from my memory, which is we were talking about a hot chick, and and Mike said, "Yeah, she's throw her in the pool and she comes out better, hot chick," and. I thought, yeah, that is the way you really can measure a hot chick. Does she look better coming out of the pool? Meaning the shirt's clinging now, showing off the curves, the hair's all wet and down, glistening.
The natural beauty, you know.
The
right.
Kate.
So he said like Kendall Jenner looked better coming out of the pool. And I was like, yeah, but I don't think Caitlyn Jenner would look better coming out of the pool. So that within the Jenner family, we've already done it. And then I started thinking about what if you just put a little time, like Tara Reid in the pool circa 1999 comes out better.
Yeah, height of her powers.
Pam Anderson in 1999 comes out better.
Jessica Simpson.
Courtney Love. They come out better in 2021 coming out of the pool. So that's a little chasm there. So if you're talking about a hot chick, the real measurement is does she look better coming out of the pool? And I think that does not most.
Okay, time has passed.
Time has passed for some of those.
That's right.
Pool.
Most people don't, but for a few elite gals, they look better, and fellas too, coming out of the pool.
To be equitable, I think you could do this across the board with the fellas.
Yeah, the only caveat here with the fellas, for the most part, is a little less hair and a little less makeup. Or none at all. So that is one of the driving factors. The physique, obviously, is a big one as well.
As long as it's not a cold pool, too.
Right.
Gene Simmons, way worse.
Way
worse.
Although I would definitely hang out at that barbecue until he came out. He'd probably stay in until the party ended.
Yeah.
And then have one of his squires hold the towel up. You know what I mean? That hold the
like
towel up move.
Yeah.
Move. Yeah.
Well, the quarterback gets changed on the sideline, so he has to piss or something.
That's right. Or when the model's done with the shoot where her top's off and she's covering her boobs with her hands. At some point, they have the squire hold the robe up. All right. Let's see. You guys will be glad to know that I took pictures of the weeds by the side of the freeway an hour ago.
Cool.
How are they doing?
Well,
Start off the year right.
The weeds are now in full bloom and full effect. They're 2 feet over the top of the 6-foot fence. So
and we're still a month and a half away from rainy season. I mean, they got a long way to go.
I know the weeds are.
They're really flourishing.
Yeah, take the picture that I shot today, Max Zapata. You can see they're lush, they're green, they're over the top of the 6-foot fence. They're going berserk.
They look planned.
Yes. Meanwhile, the trees that they planned and planted look exactly the same as they did when they planted them.
They're withering on the vine.
They're dying on the vine because they can't get water because the weeds are now blocking the sprinklers at the bottom. So there's not a lot of growth. There's a big puddle at the bottom because the water hits the weeds that have certainly gone to town. Again, all you have to do is, as I've done, is go to Phoenix and go to Vegas and just see what they do by the sides of the freeway. It's a completely different approach. It's always vexing to me that people, I've always said this about places in Europe, but certainly in the United States as well. The people who make these decisions, do they not travel? Have they not been on a Southwest flight? Do they not go to other places who seem to have figured it out? And then if, in fact, they do, why don't they look around when they're in the back of the Uber and go, hey, maybe we should implement that here.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll just do that and take the credit. Please.
But it's a very L.A. kind of thing, and it's kind of fits with the general zeitgeist because it's like we are one thing, which is an arid, basically desert climate, but we don't want to admit it. We're we're a lush, green, flourishing tropical garden.
Yes.
And so we're
Mediterranean and we say we're Hawaii.
Right. And that's what we're doing. We're going, fuck it. This is LA. This is palm trees and ice plant. We're going to have all this lush greenery.
Birds of paradise.
But we can't pull it off. All we end up with is weeds. So this whole side of the freeway, they took all the time to clear it out. They cleared all the weeds. They planted the trees, and now we just have more weeds. Also, it's one of those
more pictures
metaphors in life, too, which is weeds are always going to grow. I don't know how you calculate it. I wouldn't say 10 times as fast as these trees. I'd go 2,000 times as fast as the trees. The weeds literally didn't exist when the trees were 5.5 feet tall, and now that the trees are 6 feet tall, the weeds are 7 feet tall. That's
towering over the fence.
That's the breakdown. But okay, I don't know. I don't feel like these people are competent. That's me. All right. So I also, sort of in that vein, I was talking to Dr. Drew earlier, and Dr. Drew is on a. It's a reflective and emotional Dr. Drew because this COVID thing has got the best of his brain now. You know,
that's his number one feature. Well, behind the abs,
the brain is. He's got COVID on the brain, and he's a little emotional. He's a little scattered, but makes for a fun show. The
fun.
Well, what he was talking about is that message. His message is don't go into the hospital, get help, stay home. Don't overwhelm the hospitals with the hospital beds and the ICU. And do not overwhelm them. Stay home and get help.
And wouldn't you rather be home than in a hospital? So it's kind of a win-win.
And of course, nobody knows how to get help or what to do at home, especially half of LA County. I mean, come on.
At least.
So I then, of course, circled back to my second favorite topic after weed growth by the side of the freeway. And Drew kept saying, you should just go with MD. So you go with, I think it's like talktoanmd.com or something with an md.com or some version of that. And if you just go there, you can get the information you need. Max Pat is putting it up on the screen now. Speakwithanmd.com. Speakwithanmd.com. And I thought, yeah, that'd be great, except for nobody knows it.
Nope.
Never heard
So
of it.
everyone just heads into the hospital.
Of course.
And then I thought maybe during this brief period where our hospitals in Los Angeles are being overwhelmed, maybe for just this brief moment, we could safely remove on the freeway signs, slow for the cone zone.
Safely removed.
And then put just briefly.
Yeah.
And just put the talktoanmd.com or speaktoanmd.com. But don't you think that'd be helpful?
That'd be
Very.
very helpful PSA.
So it would just be COVID symptoms or COVID ? Speakwithanmd.com. Right under it.
Done.
Every
Beautiful.
freeway sign. There's no such thing as anyone who lives in Los Angeles who's not traveling on the freeway if, in fact, you're out and about or a loved one isn't out and about. And if it's placed on every single one of those big electronic signs, I think we could move the needle.
Well, think about the cost, though.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Somebody's got to get a keyboard out and type that in. You're right, Brian. It's labor intensive.
I feel bad shitting on this point. It's a good point.
I know. It's not like those signs are like an old gas station sign where you have to get out, get a suction cup with a mop handle on it and hang everything on it. You could simply just put that on there. And it definitely would make me think that the people in power knew what they were doing. Because I'd be like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's smart. We have all these signs. We have this crucial, critical information we'd like to pass along. We're trying to not be overwhelmed in terms of the hospitalization goes. Why not just pop that bad boy up there? And, even if it made a 10% difference, well, that's just 10%, 10% less people showing up at the hospital. That would be awesome. I, for 22 years, have been trying to contact the people who are in charge of these boards, but mum's the word. It's an elite fraternity of retards who fucking don't want to talk to smart people because I don't know if they'd be able to get out of the ditch they fucking dug themselves into. But wouldn't that be nice? Or maybe even a little break from click it or ticket, perhaps, or slow for the cone zone. They put the mask on, but I think the message is out with the wearing the mask.
Much like the seatbelts, the people who are going to do it are going to do it.
Right. And not only is the message received, but the only people who don't need to wear a mask are the people driving alone in their cars.
Right. All right. So there's my humble contribution. Yes.
I've been trying to get both the freeway weed people and the electronic freeway sign people to come on. I think it's because they're hearing what you're saying. So I just need a clip of you complimenting them.
Yes.
And I can forward that to them.
All right. Let's see.
You want to invite them in to shake their hand.
Yeah.
See if I can summon something up.
And
Hey, man, you know who's doing a bang-up job in the highways and byways of SoCal?
Who's that, Ace Man?
Oh, the folks that are in charge of the...
All right,
oh, God, are you okay?
That was an aborted take. We'll take two when Adam proposes himself.
Get a clean take in a second.
It's still going.
Oh, sloppy joes were bad. I know.
You were close on that one, man.
You look a little
What was I
peaked.
saying? Those guys are, well, I don't use the term crackerjack that often, but when it comes to the good ladies and men, they're all... what's that?
Oh,
God.
Chris, don't send him this clip.
Yeah, we'll have to edit that in post.
I need a handkerchief. Jesus Christ.
Somebody get him a bucket.
You know, the only people doing a better job than the people in charge of the freeway signs are those geniuses that are behind landscaping.
Oh, God, no!
I think that's a usable take.
Oh, my eyelids are bloodshot. Oh, my God, I swallowed my tongue. Oh, I need Ipecac. I need something. I need a shot. Give me some goddamn buttermilk or something. Yeah, those two should be nominated for the Citizens of the Year. The way they're handling this, especially the good folks with the freeway signs, and then, of course, their counterparts over there who are in charge of the
I appreciate that he vomits off mic.
That is nice of him. I think Dawson can grab the top of one and the bottom of the other.
That's usable. That's absolutely usable.
I was talking to you guys about eating cubes of old cheese before. When the mic's heated up, it's just a bad cheese. This is no reflection on the fine and dedicated civil servants who man the keyboards, who are in charge of heating up those freeway signs with timely
I think we have to call the show today.
Yeah.
I don't think we can go on.
Quickly.
He's really sick.
Do some sports.
I think he popped a blood vessel in his neck.
Swallowed my tongue. Okay. I was shot.
Get that man some
water back in here.
Yeah,
seriously.
please get him some.
Chris, I need a fucking banana. I need a banana. I need potassium. Okay. All right. What was I saying?
You were complimenting our
good people.
Oh yeah. What was I saying about him?
Workers.
What did I say?
Right, Cracker Jack
You're
squad.
raving.
Oh no!
Gina, what have you done?
Just hearing it.
Don't bring up
God.
food. Oh. Okay. I got to mop my brow. All right. Anyway, tip of the cap, doing a fantastic job. Do you think you could cobble that together and send it to them?
I think we got it.
Okay. All right. And then invite them on the program, please. All right. Jeff Cesario is on. Is he online something, or are we just...
That one as well as rehearsed.
We're just going to pop in. It's going to do a little Chet Waterhouse. We can talk a little about the football NFL playoffs. Exciting. I don't know if you guys are like me, but all the times, whenever I'm trying to figure out the times of the playoff games, because they kind of move the times around, they have the Saturday games, they're all done in Eastern time. Now, I don't want to be a West Coast snob, but provide the West Coast time, too. I'm doing a lot of math. I'm doing a lot of unnecessary 8:05. Oh, no, 8:00. Yeah.
Sneak in Central Time.
Right, yeah. Let's just let's keep it to the West Coast. Let those people do the time. It's easier to add 3 hours than it is to subtract.
Now you're talking.
How you doing? Oh, and Jeff, are you calling the Browns-Steelers game?
Yeah, simulcasting it as Chet.
Awesome.
on the stereo app. It's called the stereo app. You just get the stereo app, and then me and Adam Felber, who's on Wait, Don't Tell Me, and great writer. He's my color man, Randy Joe Stuttmeyer. Who,
Will you be in character the whole time?
yeah, we've
this
done
is
it before. It's
brother.
great.
This is
it's
so
a ton
great.
of fun.
We got the Browns at 11-5. We got the Steelers at 12-4. Although the Steelers have been sliding, although the Browns beat them last time, although Big Ben wasn't starting. Then the Browns got a bunch of COVID, right?
Yeah, they're coach.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going to happen with any of these games. I mean, these rosters are in a massive state of flux across the NFL, the college playoff, Ohio State's. Like they've got like maybe 45 guys ready to dress. It's like getting really it's kind of tight.
Slim Pickens.
They were saying that the Browns special teams coach, or one of the assistant coaches who was a special teams guy, is going to take over as head coach. But I feel like you could zoom into that conversation if you're the head coach, right? Like, couldn't we have you back at the Browns facility with a couple of monitors around you and a headset on? Like, do you really need to be pacing the sideline to call in,
They can sequester you pretty easily in a booth or a box. The stadium's empty, for God's sake.
Right.
Put him in a luxury box.
Yeah, what? I mean, does he have to just sit home and listen to the AM radio like Hoosiers?
It's just little
Yeah,
working
like
the
Shooter.
knobs.
Shooters in his hospital bed, like cheering on the Browns. Like, don't you feel like that guy could be on the blower with two? I mean, look, I've been to enough high-end automotive auctions to know that half the guys bidding on that Bugatti are in Dubai. And they just have a guy on the phone, and they're like, what are we at? We're at. All right, here's where I'll go to. Like, they're just calling it in, like literally phoning in the shots. Why? I don't know if there's any. Max Paddock can look. I don't.
Yeah, well, all I see is they're just still calling him unavailable for the game. But he said that Wednesday that the Browns would continue to prepare for the Steelers virtually, and he's even holding a virtual walkthrough in the afternoon.
So he's holding the walkthrough.
Yeah, so he's still helping prepare, but I don't know if he'll be able to.
A walkthrough, by definition, is a virtual practice, and they're doing a virtual walkthrough.
I guess.
So you're twice. So nobody actually has to walk. You just have to be.
Or maybe we get that hologram company that does like Michael Jackson concerts and throw Elvis and Michael Jackson.
Hank Stram to the sideline for
yeah, or why not just do Marilyn Monroe? You know what I mean? Like give the players, hey, focus, guys, over here, right? Instead of fat guy in the windbreaker. So that'll be interesting. Is the spread about 4.5, 5? God, the poor odds makers in Vegas. Normally they lock this shit in on a Tuesday.
Yeah, a lot in flux.
I think the Steelers will crush it. I don't
think
see any hope.
I think the Steelers are going to do that. Big Ben's back. It's playoff time. Here we go.
Steelers are favored by 6 at the moment.
Wow, it just keeps going up. But the Steelers, I think that's a kind of a good bet. Steelers are at home, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You gotta figure with Big Ben in there and Browns and COVID, you gotta figure a 1-touchdown win, right? 6 points sounds pretty good.
The Steelers will win like 19-5, and it'll sound like just a horrible game, and they'll cover easily. You know what I mean? It'll just be a defensive, weird, cold game.
Right.
And they'll score enough to win. It won't matter.
Agreed. My Rams are going to be at the Seahawks. Hard to tell with the Rams and hard to tell with the Seahawks. They both
Really hard to tell with the Seahawks.
They both have
Kinda
played
know.
kind of lights out, and they both have sucked too throughout the season.
Yeah, they've been on real roller coasters and sort of interweaving roller coasters, if that's possible. Let's build that. Sure, next at
I'm sure it exists.
The interweaving roller coaster. But that's what these two teams are on. You're exactly right. I would stay away from this if I was betting.
We have
Seahawks favored by 3.5.
we have the Buccaneers playing a football team. It just says they're playing the Redskins. Now, boy, if Brady gets anywhere into these playoffs and especially goes to the Super Bowl, it's not, he was already cemented in as the GOAT of quarterbacks of all time. If he leaves Belichick, goes to the what were the hapless Buccaneers and takes them to the big game, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, statement.
That is an insane statement. And it already kind of is when you take a look at the Patriots and the Buccaneers season. And I don't know, Cam Newton, maybe he's not going to be in the league that long. They're not coming back with him, I don't think.
What are the odds Tom Brady's first game is against a 7-9 team?
Right. Yeah, not too shabby.
Barely beat Philly because Philly put in a third string quarter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So he's getting a break, I think, a little bit in this first round. Washington has a tough defense, but nothing Tampa Bay can't figure out. They got a good coach in Bruce Arians, so they're probably going to go a round or two deep. I don't know how they'd fare against the Packers or New Orleans, whoever they wind up facing next. But, Brady, with all that experience, is going to figure out a way to make them competitive in any game.
Here's an
down the stretch.
Here's an interesting thought experiment for everyone but Gina. If Belichick had a bad year with Cam Newton is, not the Cam Newton he was 6-7 years ago, but he's still Cam Newton. He showed some kind of early flashes running the ball of like old Cam Newton. Cam Newton is a physical specimen. He's an amazing athlete. He's bigger than half the defensive linemen. And he's the kind of guy who can improvise, tuck the ball in on any third and less than 7. He may just tuck it in and run it. Versus coaching Tom Brady, who doesn't have the tools, so physical tools that Cam Newton does. So Tom Brady must do everything Belichick says. Like, it must be a pure strategy. We're not going to rely on size or foot speed or athletic ability. We're sticking to the plan, and we're going to coach that way. I wonder if a guy like Belichick is just less effective when he has like a phenom athlete back there under center versus what would be considered or always been considered of Tom Brady is very limited physically. I wonder if that actually aided that relationship. I think the 6 Super Bowls is probably some indicator it worked. But what do you guys think of that concept?
Well, I just think it's two styles of quarterbacking, and we're sort of shoveling, crap onto the traditional style of quarterbacking. I mean, they're still pretty amazing athletes, the best of them in the pocket. And I mean, I think you'd have to consider Aaron Rodgers largely a pocket passer, although he can scramble, but so can Brady, even though
I'm not really talking pocket versus tuck and run. I'm just talking about Belichick's magic. How much magic does he have over a guy who will tuck it and run versus the guy has to just check down to Wes Welker every time?
It depends who the tuck it and run guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's Pat Mahomes.
Cam Newton.
Yeah, I'll meet you halfway and say this was a bad a bad pairing of quarterback and coach in this situation. I think what you're saying is pretty much that. Like, Cam Newton's past his prime. He doesn't fit the Belichick system. He did his best. They did their best, but he went 10-6 with Matt Castle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but again, Matt Castle was only going to do what Belichick told him to do. He wasn't going to improvise. So interesting that it just makes sense that if the coach, who's the strategist, is playing with somebody who likes to improvise, he's just going to have less impact. Yeah. All right. So what other games do we have? Colts, Bills. It's I always root for Phillip Rivers. Do you guys root for Phillip Rivers? I kind of like Phillip Rivers. He has like 11 kids. He wears a bolo tie. He throws sidearm. But he went to the Colts and got it done at 11-5, man.
Colts are a good team. I think they're going to make I think the Bills win. I think the Bills are a great team. I think the Colts are going to make them look bad in the first round, like a shaky win kind of thing. But don't sleep on the Bills. They're a complete team.
Yeah, I think what the Bills have going for them is the fact that their quarterback, Allen, is still in a groove where he's maybe somewhat oblivious to the actual pressure that's on him. He's kind of that young and that jockey, I don't think he's fully aware. So he'll be like if they go down 2 scores, he's not going to freak out just because he's a kid. I don't think he completely understands that they're in the Super Bowl race. That works to their advantage. I think Jonathan Taylor's come around as a back for them. He's a bit of a beast, and that could give them a sort of a 1-2 punch they haven't had until the last 4 or 5 games of the season. They could be hell on wheels, Indianapolis. And you're right. I mean, Rivers is past his prime in a sense, but at the same time, he's got enough weapons there where they could upset Buffalo. But Buffalo's a strong team. It'll be a fun game. That may be one of the better games.
And Adam, you talk about diminishing, skills. Like Phillip Rivers is so immobile, they will take him out on a 3rd and short and bring in Jacoby Brissett specifically to run like a quarterback sneak. Like they're telegraphing it from the moment he runs off the field. Like he runs off the field on 3rd and short.
Gina,
get a hand cart to take him off the field. He doesn't really run off the field.
Just want to keep Gina in the conversation. Jacoby's a Jewish guy. They'll put him in the red zone. They got to punch it in.
No such thing. Come on.
Well, they don't really have mobile quarterbacks, but they have upwardly mobile folks financially. Sure. So the mobile still does work.
That's what they mean by diversity, diversifying.
Upwardly mobile.
But not mobile in the pocket. Right. Mobile,
no, not fleet of foot.
Yeah, financial.
Mobile in the pocket. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the hip pocket.
They're good in the pocket, Gina. They're real good in the pocket. Is Aaron Rodgers, is he the MVP? Did they decide on this yet, or is he just sort of?
I don't think they've decided yet.
The odds-on favorite.
Probably.
That guy.
Josh Allen had a great season too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Aaron. That guy's throwing motion is so insanely fluid and smooth. He literally throws backing up the entire time, and it's just so fucking effortless. Like it's just he's just getting better.
There's a wrist flick that is unreal, that adds 20 yards to the ball and lowers the arc. I don't know how he does it. Although Josh Allen, if you watch footage of Josh Allen in slow-mo, he throws most of the time in sort of a state of suspension. His footwork is really weird. He'll like throw off his back foot or his front foot, but then he kind of jumps as he's doing it about 2 inches off the ground, which may be all he can jump. I don't know, but he's got this he sort of levitates and throws. It's bizarre, and he gets great speed on the ball too. Great spin.
I wonder.
Footnote to it all. I tweeted this a long time ago, but the only 2 players when I was, still a big USC fan, but the only 2 players that scared me, like as a opponent at USC, were Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Luck. The only 2 guys I was like. Or Christian McCaffrey, too. But I was like, how the fuck are we going to what are we going to do with this guy?
Andrew Luck. Sorry.
What do I say? Aaron Luck?
Yeah, but close enough.
Andrew Luck. Sorry about that.
Hey, I've stayed silent long enough. What happened to that hot dude, Garoppolo?
No,
he
got injured.
He's out?
They didn't make the playoffs. It strikes me that so many of the greats, and I'm thinking about Aaron Rodgers here, so many of the greats, but you could also say that about Muhammad Ali. The reason they're all great athletes, they're all great in college, everyone knows how to throw the ball and so on and so forth. And maybe there's some Joe Montana in here too, but Aaron Rodgers always seems so unflappable. He always seems like he's happy to be there, never seems overwhelmed by the situation or the environment or the pressure cooker. He, never short arms a crucial 3rd and long or whatever it is. It's not only is he, a great athlete and a great technician, and his great throwing motion and everything, but I believe, like Muhammad Ali, his demeanor helps him.
He's built for the moment.
He doesn't tighten up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He doesn't expend energy. He doesn't have to expend. He's happy just to back up and throw the ball into the ground on a screen that's covered. You never see him like getting emotional and slamming his helmet,
Right.
whatever. He gets so much out of just when they always say to these guys, just have fun out there. But it's the AFC playoffs and everyone's in the crowd and your parents are watching. It's hard just to go have fun out there. But he actually just seems to go have fun out there, and it completely aids him in his play.
Yep.
Yeah, he's more like the captain, of an airliner that's experiencing tremendous turbulence. I don't know if he's enjoying it, but I think he's enjoying being the one in charge. I think that's what he enjoys more. He enjoys that feeling of control because he's not one of these happy-go-lucky guys who's smiling all the time, or, he will occasionally, and he's enjoying himself more this year probably than in the past. But I think what he digs is all right, what is it, 3rd and 43? Yeah, I think we got this. And convinces everybody around him that they do, and then they do it often enough where he has tremendous confidence in him from everybody else.
Well, you take a guy like Joe Montana, and he probably possessed that same mentality. Again, not all the physical tools you might want, but that the head was there and never overwhelmed by the situation. All right, should we do a little Chet Waterhouse?
Sure.
The sports with Chet Waterhouse.
Now, brother, that's the Waterhouse Update brought to you by Estrogen. The estrogen for men. NFL playoffs. Bears backing in like a guy launching a boat for the very first time. New Orleans down 30 players to COVID, but they've picked up 2 Neville brothers and a Marsalis. Like a Mexican highway, the Rams are uneven. Washington in at 7-9. That's as unlikely as a Jamiroquai reunion. The Steelers, like a car salesman with gambling debts, they just keep coming at you. And finally, the Jets fire Adam Gase after 3 assassination attempts failed. That wrap-up sponsored by Glitzkrieg. Full makeup in 3 minutes, or it's free. College football championship, Ohio State versus Alabama for all the COVID-soaked marbles. Friday, Bama gave Notre Dame their last rites. Buckeyes gutted Clemson. They didn't silence Dabo Sweeney. They chloroformed him and dumped him in a rural wooded area for Dateline to find him. That wrap-up sponsored by Sausages. The sausage-flavored throat lozenge. Sore throat? Suck some sausage. NBA. Mennonites suing James Harden for beard infringement. Adam Silver announces if they go to a bubble again, the league will just build its own strip club. College hoops. More cancellations than the Irvine Improv. That item sponsored by Alan Monet. Pay your alimony with impressionist art. And finally, this week in sports history, the year 1887, the place San Francisco, California, Thomas Stevens becomes the first man to bicycle around the world. Said Stevens, I was on boats for most of it. This Waterhouse Update brought to you by Count Your Dressings, the salad dressing superstore. You'll fall asleep counting your dressings. If you want more of me this weekend for real, I'm doing that simulcast of the Browns-Steelers playoff game Sunday night on the Stereo app. Just download that app and watch the game on NBC, but listen to me and my analyst, Randy Joe Stuttmeyer, sponsored, of course, by OCDC, the most meticulous AC/DC cover band ever. This is Chet Waterhouse reminding you, first of all, even in a pandemic, slow for the cone zone. And, of course, play with pain.
Chet Waterhouse. Sports.
Oh.
That was 2 minutes and 49 seconds. Can he keep it up for over 3 hours, ladies and gentlemen? You're going to find out when you tune in on the stereo app and listen to Chet call the game. And by the way, the stand-up album, What Was I Thinking? It's available on Pandora, Spotify, and anywhere you get music. And, of course, Play with Pain with Chet Waterhouse, available, the podcast, on Apple Podcasts as well. Jeff, fantastic. My God,
Thank you,
have
man.
not lost a step. Some of those were amongst your best, and so goddamn.
Thank you, guys.
So goddamn funny. We'll bid adieu to Jeff. Great job. I'll hit LifeLock, and then we'll get on with the news. Increased cybersecurity attacks on pharmaceutical workers' phones and tablets as they work from home. Well, that's right. Sensitive medical data exposed, all your information. It's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft are affecting our lives every day. We put our information at risk on the internet. Cyber criminals around the world keep finding new ways to steal identities. You can miss certain identity threats just by monitoring your credit alone. Good thing there's LifeLock, which detects a wide range of identity threats like your social security number for sale on the dark web. If they detect your information has potentially been compromised, they will send you an alert. Protect yourself with LifeLock, right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. LifeLock can see threats you might miss on your own. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year by using promo code Adam. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to LifeLock.com and use promo code Adam for 25% off.
All right, quick break and back with the news right after this.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad. Trouble in the Middle East. Celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, starting out, and we do have some other stories and some fun stories, but we got to get through this Capitol Rotunda riot roundup. So just touch on some crazy things that happened on Wednesday. So 4 deaths have been reported after that riot at the Capitol building. So now one, we've all heard about a woman from San Diego. I believe she was a 14-year military vet. She was shot, I think, in the neck amidst all this chaos. She did die. But 3 others were reported dead due to medical emergencies. Could be heart attack, stroke.
Smoke inhalation? I mean, like,
tear gas inhalation, possibly. All we have on the other 3 are medical emergencies. So maybe that will come out.
That
Muriel
sounds
Bowser,
weird, doesn't it? Like 3 from medical emergencies. It just feels weird with all the riots and all the dust-ups we've had and the thousands of people involved all around the country and everything, and nary a medical emergency. But
I mean,
maybe it speaks to the demographic a little.
I was about to say, I saw a lot of gray beards. You know what I mean?
Could have been that. Yeah.
Running up those steps. So D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser called for a curfew, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Speaking of the National Guard, we were talking about 1,000 National Guard troops have been activated at her request. Meanwhile, White House Director of Social Media Dan Scavino tweeted a statement overnight from President Donald Trump because, Trump's Twitter was suspended. He said this is the
He's got to do the same thing the Browns coach has to do, right? Just stay
go
at
to
home.
the booth.
Go to the booth.
Right.
Bobby Valentine mustache.
Right.
After all the chaos and craziness.
Deep cut. Brad.
This was his, I'm sorry I couldn't appreciate it.
Bobby the manager got thrown out of the game, so he came back with like a fake mustache.
Yep, Bobby Valentine was the manager of the Mets, got tossed from a game, which means you're supposed to leave the dugout, go to the clubhouse.
You have to go,
He snuck back in. We're going to get a picture of it. This is like 1995-ish. He snuck back into the dugout wearing like a funny nose and glasses.
So it's a joke.
I mean, he wanted to be in the dugout. And he got fined $50,000 or something. Or
expensive Groucho Marx mask. Oh, do we have it? That's not bad.
That's not bad either.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
The problem with sunglasses.
Who had the mustache in the locker room?
For just such an occasion.
And it also had the same Keith Hernandez must have. I think Keith Hernandez would travel with an extra mustache back then.
Just in case the first one gets injured.
Yeah, you got to go to the bullpen because that's a Keith Hernandez style mustache. The whole thing about wearing the dark glasses to conceal yourself, whether you're a manager who's thrown out of a game or a celebrity walking through LAX or a Unabomber. The problem is if you're wearing sunglasses in places where other people don't wear sunglasses, then you actually draw more attention to yourself. So if everyone else in the dugout is not wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, I think it was a night game.
Right.
That was a crucial error.
Right.
Well, this was the tweet tweeted out by the social media director on behalf of President Trump. It says, even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. I've always said we would continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted.
By the way,
well,
don't you think Trump just did the first part of that tweet? And then the social director's like, let me just finish this one off with the orderly.
Yes.
Because that guy's out. That guy's out the door, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want to see anyone else getting shot. So Trump was like, take a tweet. And he was like, I totally disagree with the outcome of the election. I'm going to fight this election. I disagree 100%. All right, read that back to me.
Oh, yeah. What you just said, sir.
Sounds great.
You know what I miss?
Yeah,
I miss old-timey movies when they were doing like, God, what would it be? Like a telegram?
Yeah.
And the person would go, to Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea, stop.
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 We need to come together as a nation. Stop.
Stop.
Like it must have been super annoying for the person. Like just say period or pause.
To my wife who keeps badgering me. Stop. Wait, did you want to say it?
Well, it did cause a lot of confusion in Three Amigos.
Oh, it's right.
Telegram. So, yeah, we know where this is going. He ends it with, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again. We have had
Bitch,
some
you had 4 years.
That's right.
We've had some people quit. Melania's, what's her name? Like their director.
Chief of staff or
Thank
something.
you. She's quit. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao said in a statement that she's resigning amid all the rioting and the chaos. She said it was entirely avoidable. She's deeply troubled by it, and she's out.
Adam, is this just theater to get it on the scoreboard that you resigned? Like what are we, 12 days of something? I can't do the math right now.
Well,
13 days out.
I think it's nice to be on, this is somebody saying the boss wants to see you because he saw you on the surveillance camera drinking all the copier toner and you just walk into the boss office and go, I quit.
Yeah.
I don't care what you got to say, but I'm out of here.
Letter of resignation.
Right. And it's funny you bring that up because Nancy Pelosi and Schumer have now decided they're preparing to impeach Trump if Vice President did not immediately invoke the 25th Amendment.
Just in time.
That's what I'm saying. Symbolically, hear me out on this. I'm curious what you think. All the people that have been wanting to impeach Trump since the day he took office, wouldn't that be the absolute worst thing for you to do right now? I mean, you want to make him seal the deal as a folk hero for the rest of your days, a martyr.
A bit of a martyr, yeah.
Who symbolically gets written out on a rail at the last second. What is that doing for you?
You really also hasn't he already been impeached?
Yes. The rule is if you're impeached twice, I didn't know this, obviously, you can't run for public office again. Like Trump is
so
really
that's
going
okay. That's valid. Then that's valid.
Maybe that's their
but just symbolically
motivation.
Yeah.
But first off, Nancy Pelosi, do you really think you're going to be around for Trump's second go round here of the presidency in 4 years plus? Probably not. Number one.
Shady.
Number two, I would just be silent and give him the Viking funeral and just let him float out to sea. But
unless what Brian said is the reason.
Yeah, well that would be tactical at that point.
Right. And I
don't know if the first impeachment counted because he was impeached But then he wasn't impeached because he didn't get the votes on it.
He wasn't
something.
convicted, but the House voted to impeach and brought it to the Senate where he was not convicted. So this would technically be a second, if they did it, a second impeachment.
Right.
Impeachment just means the articles of impeachment are drawn up and now the Senate must vote.
But then it seems like you could just do that with anybody, right? Just impeach them and then double back and impeach them like the next week, right? Which I'm kind of curious they didn't try that already. But anyway, all right.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm surprised this didn't come up with Jeff because it got a little bit of play Wednesday night. NBA's Boston Celtics and Miami Heat have called out the weak police response, that's what they're calling it, to the attack on the U.S. Capitol. They compared it to how law enforcement handled Black Lives Matter protests. And their statement said, 2021 is a new year, but things have not changed. We played tonight's game with a heavy heart after yesterday's decision in Kenosha and knowing the protesters in our nation's capital are treated differently by political leaders, depending on what side of a certain issue they're on. The statement went on to say the difference in the handling of Black Lives Matter protesters and the pro-Trump rioters shows how much more work we have to do.
I expect that out of the NBA, but Jesus fucking Christ, Biden had to jump in on that shit today about how it would have been handled differently if the races were different. It's like, ugh, can we just fucking give the race thing a fucking break? It's not good, especially if it's coming from Biden. We have, first things first, I don't know what country would flourish under this constant beating of the drum of race.
Well, also, sorry to interrupt, but what's in it for Biden? Like, you can sit this one out, and you're not going to lose any political capital.
I know. You just say that these people should be brought to justice. This was a tragedy, yada, 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 and then just do it. Why do we have to fucking weave race in everything? And obviously, there were plenty of riots and looters and complete Sodom and Gomorrah over the last 5 months in this country with Black Lives Matter and everyone else out on the street burning shit down, like surrounding police stations. Like I think in, I don't know, in Seattle or Portland, like they surrounded a police station and tried to burn down the police station with cops in it. It's hard to, it's a tough argument to make where nobody got shot during all the insane fucking violence and looting and burning of police stations and cop cars and it's just wild running the street violence, and nobody got shot by law enforcement during that or because of that. Then to go, now this would be handled completely different if these people were black. It's a kind of bizarre statement to make. It's a bizarre angle. I get it. It's not all apples to apples, but if you're going to make this argument, you need to have a bunch of people getting shot by police over the last several months trying to burn down cop cars or police stations or Pier 1s or whatever it is, and then contrast that to the one person who got shot. But right now, it's one person that got shot versus no people that got shot by the cops. So it's a bullshit argument. And Biden shouldn't be going down this fucking road. If we're going to get into this whole thing, I mean, the whole reason we elected Biden was to heal. We're now going to heal. There's going to be civility. We're going to do this. And he did not need to weave race into this, but yet he did not miss an opportunity, and I fucking can't stand all the goddamn race talk, NBA, Biden, or whomever. It's just a fuck. It's nothing good could come of it.
Healing message. He could have just kept with a healing message. You know what I mean? And played it.
Yeah, no one would be like, "Why didn't you bring up race?"
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Anyway.
Well, let's move on to something that it will keep you angry, I think. Right. So we used to have the second, we were wringing our hands the other day that the second richest man, most powerful man moved to Texas.
Wait, but do you have that news. Biden clip I told you to get, Max Zapata, that you're going to tell me I didn't tell you to get? But you can find it.
I don't think you told me to get it.
Oh, yes, I did. I told you. What I tell you about Biden? I said, get that clip. He's talking about race.
I told him not to get it.
Okay. All right. Well, put it this way. If I'm talking about a clip, feel free to get it.
You're right.
There you go. That because it's implied.
Yes.
Sorry.
Your mistake.
Yes.
So the second richest man now out of California into Texas. What could be worse? Well, technically, as of today, he is the first richest man. Elon Musk edged out Jeff Bezos to grab the title of world's richest person, according to Bloomberg. Here's how that shakes out. So a 5% raise in Tesla shares early Thursday lifted the value of its CEO stock in options by about $9.3 billion to $190 billion.
Yeah,
A more
Tesla stock
modest
is soaring.
rise. And now this is the comparison. A more modest rise of the less than 2% lifted Bezos' Amazon shares by $2.7 billion, putting him at $187 billion.
Oh man, that's got to smart. That's got to sting.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Bill
Take that,
Gates,
loser.
Yeah.
Bill Gates needs to get on government funding because he has fallen to a distant third at $132 billion.
Got to hurry up and turn on those mind control devices
That's right.
through the vaccines.
Jesus.
And we told this guy to go fuck himself.
Oh God.
Well, we didn't.
Seems like yes, but some of the folks in charge of California just seems like the biggest mistake ever. God, I would court the shit out of that guy if I was running this place. Please
Well, that's what Texas
don't
is
leave.
doing.
And by the way, not only what Elon Musk has currently, but last I checked, he's a young man in his earning years. I mean,
He'll have some more projects on the
Yeah.
horizon.
God knows that guy's probably got a few irons in the fire that could have created tons of jobs and tons of tax revenue and tons of infrastructure. I mean, just think about all the stuff he wanted to do, tunneling through the 405 so that we could get to the airport, like all that guy would have brought to us. And again, best I could tell, and especially that guy's probably sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber and blood doping and stuff. I mean, that guy could be a solid earner for the next 40 years, like nonstop.
He'd go to he'd go to 130.
Yes, God fucking knows what we could have reaped from that guy being here, but we had to tell him to fuck himself. Also,
Galveston's going to become this like utopia, like Cloud City.
the guy was trying to like safely reopen his manufacturing plant for Tesla, and they were fucking hassling him like he was some Armenian guy trying to open a fucking falafel cart. Like they were like badgering him and nickeling and diming him. And you know, part of being smart is knowing your options, and so he has definitely played that. Blah. All right, sorry.
Well, we have a couple of auctions coming up, and I thought these might be some things you want to keep your eye on. David Hasselhoff auctioning off the famous 1982 Trans Am from his Knight Rider series. According to the listing on liveauctioneers.com, the car is described as fully functional, the fully functional kit car.
Does he own
with
it?
Apparently, full conversion car located in the UK. This is the best part. Lot winner responsible for delivery expense. If hammer price exceeds 25% above reserve price, the Hoff will personally deliver the car to the new owner.
Hey, I'll bring burgers over.
Floor burgers.
I have no furniture.
Great. The problem. It's kind of like the Smoking the Bandit Trans Am. There's a little bit of that with the Batmobile. It seems like there's more than one of these cars around, but they would always do that. Like we talk about, they'd have the hero car, and then have the car that jumps, and then the car that speeds and does
For
donuts.
interiors.
Right.
Any extra clout because this one's owned by Hasselhoff, who was the Knight Rider.
Is this going off in Europe? Did you say?
It's located in the UK.
Is there nostalgia for Knight Rider?
How dare you? Well, things were in.
That's not an answer, Gina. That's not a yes or a
Things were
no.
measured in one Dukes of Hazzard or one Knight Rider.
It's I was watching Knight Rider a day and a half ago, so I feel well qualified to comment on this.
Okay.
I caught it during one of my favorite scenes, which is it's not when Hasselhoff drives Kit that I enjoy. It's when Kit follows Hasselhoff and he talks to Kit. You know what I mean? Like he's walking. In this particular scene, he's on a horse track, and he's like, Kit, get a soils analysis going on. And then Kit does his computer voice and does the soils analysis, and he's just walking, and the
his
car's
tires.
just very slowly following him as he's doing it. That's my favorite part. And then
Future.
It's a real odd couple situation.
Then Kit went out to the parking lot to wait, and a degenerate gambler, because he was smoking half a cigar, walked by him, and Kit gave him the info on who was going to win the next, exacta, which is also because he's that
nice of him.
He's that good. If Kit, in fact, possessed that ability, would there be any reason to solve crime anymore?
No, that's the only. I was just thinking that's the only thing you use that card for.
Yeah, it's like in Ocean's 8 when Matt Damon had that perfume that he had. There's that scene in Ocean's 8 or 11 or whatever.
I think 13.
13, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He put the musk on him, and the musk that he put on him made him irresistible to women. So
This must have been 13. I did not see it.
Yeah, I didn't see
what's
this
her
one.
name? You might be able to even find that scene, but he puts this musk on him, and the chick who doesn't like him walks into his room, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh my God, please, may I pleasure you?" And she's put her hands all over and stuff, and it's like, hey, if you guys possess this spray musk that makes women sexually attack men in hotel rooms, there'd be no need to rob the casino.
It's a good point.
Yes. It's lampshaded in Austin Powers when Dr. Evil's like, we'll ransom them for $1 million. Like, and Robert Wagner's like, this company's worth $10 billion. Why are you wasting your time?
You know what you could sell this to Pfizer or Upjohn for? We got the scene.
Here we go. And he's also wearing a big prosthetic.
Up this Musk, you'd be the richest. You'd be Elon Musk.
Yes. If I Christmas season is just over, and I remember thinking every time I heard Santa Baby, that fucking bitch at the end of the song, she's like, oh, and one more thing, I need a deed to a platinum mine. It's like, bitch, you're the richest person in the world. Do you own a platinum mine? You don't need any of this shit.
That's right. Yeah, the used Cadillac would pale in comparison to that.
Yeah.
You got the Biden vid. I'll tease it. Let me hit Geico real quick here. Do you own? Do you rent? Sure, you do. One or the other. Now, I'll make it easy for you. You can bundle. You take your homeowner's insurance, your renter's insurance, and you bundle it with your auto policy. Good thing, too. You got so much to do these days. So go to geico.com, get a quote. See just how much you could save. It's easy. Just go to geico.com and get to bundling today at geico.com. So here's Biden, I think, talking about a letter he got from his granddaughter?
Yeah.
Okay, here it is, sir.
She sent me a photo of military people in full military gear, scores of them lining the steps of the Lincoln Memorial because of protests by Black Lives Matter. She said, Pop, this isn't fair. No one can tell me that if had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday, they wouldn't have been treated very, very differently than the mob of thugs that stormed the Capitol. We all know that's true. And it is unacceptable, totally unacceptable.
All right, well, let's just fight a little more. Let's
Grandpa's
just
angry.
fucking live in a fucking racist society, everybody. Again, could have just said some soothing words or
You could have been candidate platitudes.
cited something from the Torah or something, but instead we got to talk about race relations. So one situation, we got all, this is white on white crime, man. All right, one more, Gina Grad.
All right. Well, I was hoping we would get to this because it's been sent to me 1,000 times and I still can't believe it's real. A children's television show in Denmark has whipped parents into a frenzy of outrage over the show's main character, a man with the world's longest penis. It's an animated show called John Dillermand. And by the way, Diller is Danish for penis. And it premiered last weekend on the public TV and was immediately criticized by people. The show follows the title character as he uses his enormous penis to get out of all sorts of tricky situations. It also gets him into some precarious situations. The station is defending the program, arguing that it's fictitious and also important to address the curiosity that children have about the body and genitals.
It's not based on a true story.
John Dillermand.
Yeah. So first Caillou, and now Caillou's been replaced by the guy with the giant dong. We put a little too much stock in kids' curiosity. You know what I mean? Like when I grew up, it's like, because I said so. Now go back to your fucking room while I smoke in it. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, we didn't have to indulge kids. Like, why, Daddy, why when you're in with mommy in the bedroom is the door locked? You know what I mean? Well, because I'm balls deep in your biological mother. Would you like to cut my nuts? Like, they're just things where you go, your kids, you'll find things out. You'll figure it out. You'll understand these things at some point.
Yeah, I was caught off guard yesterday when I was tasked with answering out of nowhere, where do babies come from? Which I thought was a cliche and people never did it. Now, I would love to answer that question.
How would you know?
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, sad.
Because, dare you? Because I still got like that hippie mentality and I want the kids to know everything, but he's not. Can't make that decision. So what did Gina do on the fly instead of revealing the answer in the other room that I would want to know? I went into full character mode, crazy scientist mode. He said, well, you mix this potion and then you sprinkle this, and just got him laughing. And then he went on to something
Let go
else.
of it. Yeah.
Now, here's the part I don't like. If I was there in Denmark and I pitched a claymated series about a chick with a giant rack, they'd be like, that's inappropriate. You can't
Get
do
out of my
that.
office.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't do that to a woman. You can't push that message out there. Well, what? There's a lot of guys that are curious about a giant rack. Like, no. But the giant
How would
cock.
you like it?
No.
Prehensile boobs, grabbing things, touching things.
I'd fucking watch that. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, former federale, although I don't think he calls himself a former federale, from Tijuana, Ed Calderon, to tell us everything about security and what's going on in Mexico and all things Mexico. Get us all caught up in that. It's going to be in a second. First, I'll tell you about Simply Safe. Everyone wants to keep their homes safe. Award-winning 24/7 protection, no long-term contracts, no hidden fees, no installation costs either. Get a free home security camera when you purchase Simply Safe at simplysafe.com/Adam. The Burbank Pickwick show has been canceled because of some permitting issues.
That's disappointing to me.
That's disappointing for
Yeah,
Dawson.
you're
I was
Governor.
going to work out my crowd work, and there's no better place to do it when people are driving into the show.
Yeah.
Hey, you in the red car.
Yeah, how many Buicks are here tonight?
So Naples, Florida is where you'll have to go if you want to watch me do stand-up, though that's going to sell out pretty quick. We'll do live pods there, too. That'll be January 15th, 16th. Ed Calderon is going to come in, and we'll do that right after this.
And now, another honorable mention from the cutting room floor for the 2020 Ace Awards. For Best Porno Play-by-Play, Gina Grad.
Jane Kennedy, she, I think, had a bootleg porn video. She may have been like one of the first, like, weird outed porn bootleggy. Somebody took it and pushed it out there, like, way before the internet.
I'm looking at it.
Are
doing
you?
my due diligence.
Are
I
you?
am.
Call the
Watching
boy
it
into
now.
the room so he can learn about life.
This is it's grainy.
Right.
It's not this is definitely from yesteryear, but it's hard to tell. Did she know?
The 2021 Ace Awards coming this December on The Adam Carolla Show.
Former Tijuana cop Ed Calderon, international security specialist and combatives instructor as well, has joined us. A favorite of the show. Good to see Ed.
Good to see you.
We'll get into all the combative stuff and how that works in a couple of few, but we got a little time. What's going on in Mexico? There's COVID. There's our election. Things are changing. What do you perceive? What do you know?
Well, it's pretty interesting seeing the reaction of the Mexican president and his refusal to recognize Biden, even when he won the elections.
Oh, really? I didn't even hear that.
So right now, a weird thing is happening where he's basically doubling down on his kind of loyalty towards the Trump administration, and it's been weird because presidency in Mexico is a leftist president, Andres Manuel López Obrador, openly Maduro type character, and during his time in the presidency in Mexico, apparently some sort of relationship was struck between Trump and him, and things like renegotiating some of our immigration policies in Mexico, things like trade deals between Mexico, Canada, and stuff like that happened during Trump's time and his relationship with Mexico. But now you're seeing this weird kind of like a shift where Mexico's president is refusing to recognize the incoming kind of Biden administration.
Wow, that's surprising.
It is.
What do you think that? What's causing that?
Well, there was a very high level arrest of a general in California. The DEA arrested a general by the name of Cienfuegos, who was basically our version of the he was the head of all operations against cartels as far as the defense secretary in Mexico during the past administration. And you can see that unprecedented arrest and release. The prosecutor basically dropped all charges and let him go, put him on a plane back to Mexico. After El Presidente down there basically said, I'm going to kick out all your DEA guys unless you let him go.
Mm-hmm.
So weird thing about that arrest, one, he was let go despite all the overwhelming evidence that he was basically talking to members of a single cartel and kind of like, helping them out with their operations in Mexico. This from a general.
Mm-hmm.
So when you kind of look at it and you kind of start figuring out why he was let go, with the overwhelming evidence, you can see some of the political pressure that happened probably from Mexico and the U.S. But you would think, Mexico doesn't have enough leverage to make the U.S. let somebody go, right?
Right.
You wouldn't think about that. But what I've kind of heard from a few people in the know and with some of my dealings down there, it probably is a case where this general was probably an asset for the CIA at some point working down in Mexico. And this is during the Biden Obama administration where he was active. So, high-level corruption in Mexico, government official basically working for the CIA as an asset probably by all the signs that he's providing. And they let him go, right? So why would you let somebody go like that? Well, because he knows a lot.
Right.
And he knows a lot about a single political enemy of somebody that is going out of the White House, and he's being hand-delivered back to Mexico.
Oh, so he probably had something on the Biden-Obama administration?
The open secret is there's corruption in Mexico at high levels, and there's also corruption at high levels in the U.S. in some administrations and even in some law enforcement agencies like the DEA. And obviously the CIA probably has some shady dealings going on.
Well, if I know CNN, they'll get to the bottom of this.
Well, I don't know. To me, it seems like an ace in the hole for Trump. To letting somebody like that.
Oh, then maybe they will get to the bottom of it. So the policy that I like that Trump implemented that I think Biden's going to reverse is if you're coming to this country, you got to stay in the country you're coming from, or Mexico. So I guess if you're going to leave Honduras and try to come to the United States, you're going to pass through Mexico, then you got to stay in Mexico, not come here.
Yeah.
And then we'll process you here, or you wait a trial or a judge or whatever. You stay in Mexico, which just completely on a just basic sort of common sense thing kind of makes sense to me, but I wouldn't think Mexico would be a fan of that.
Well, it's not a lot of people are a fan of it. The cartels are a fan of it, as they are. The cartels are a fan of people waiting in Mexico. And the cartels are a fan of some of the open door policies, because they basically make money off busing people all the way to the border and earning money from people crossing into the U.S.
But why would they be a fan of having to stay in Mexico?
Well, they're a fan of any policy that makes a group of people live in a single place forcibly, and they basically live off extortion, selling drugs to these groups, protection, and we're offering a means of circumventing the immigration process by crossing them over the border.
So they just have a bigger pool of potential clients.
That's it. And also, you have to realize that the caravans that were non-existent only a year ago, people say COVID, it's realistically, Mexico made it a bit harder to cross.
Mm-hmm.
There are caravans forming now. They're waiting. They're just waiting for the spring to hit so they can make it all the way up, right? So it's a phenomenon that's starting up again. So
do you think the Biden administration and whatever they'll implement or sort of de-implement, undo the stuff, will create more caravans?
Well, I think people should keep an eye on the Mexican government's reaction to the change of the administration. What Trump did was pressure Mexico into enforcing its own borders. That's what he did, specifically what he did. Mexico's southern border was not, there was no fence, realistically. There's a river, there's a bridge, and there were people swimming across, and there was no enforcement to speak of. I mean, federal agents were pelted with rocks by one of the caravans when they came through, and, nobody did anything. Trump basically used trade agreements and the tariffs to pressure the Mexican government to do what it should do, which is protect its own borders. Without that pressure anymore, I'm asking the people out there to kind of keep an eye on what is going to happen on Mexico's southern border to see if that is going to be enforced anymore. I don't think it is. So I think there's going to be basically a
Mexico's southern border.
Yeah.
So that's with Central America, right?
Yeah. So basically, Trump outsourced border protection to Mexico, and that's going away with his administration. And now we're going to see what this new policy is going to be about. I think people should keep an eye on what happens at that. If you see a giant another one of those caravans on that Mexican southern border, and you see those doors open, you will see that political pressure from the U.S. as far as Mexico enforcing its borders be gone. That's when you're going to start seeing the change, I think.
Seems to make sense to want Mexico to enforce their borders if you're the U.S., but
if you're Mexican, I mean. The last caravan went through all Mexico, and most of Mexicans were like this.
Come on by.
Go through, don't
stop.
Go through, don't stop. Right.
You were talking about it like sort of seasonally, like we'd have to wait. Like, is there a rainy season or is there a weather situation?
There's a few rivers that they might want to cross, so probably not a good idea doing during rainy season. There's also really extreme colds in some parts of Mexico that might want to cross. Another interesting thing, last time we had a major caravan form down there and make it all the way to the border, they went to Tijuana, which was kind of not, it didn't make sense to most people. It made sense to me. They wanted a spectacle, so why not go to the most populous border region in Mexico and the U.S.? And also, why not go to where California is? So you have all the political support of your caravan. I think the next one is probably going to go to Texas, though. And the reason I'm saying this is, I think the ability to move people from the southern border of Mexico to Texas is. It's a pipeline that's it's a mixture of buses, riding trains. A lot of horrible things happen on the way, and one of the main reasons why the caravan went to Tijuana was to avoid some of that, and also a lot of the people that were in that caravan were 18th Street gang members from South America. And if you're an 18th Street gang member, you don't want to go through the eastern part of Mexico because that's where the Barrio 13, or the 13th Street gang members, kind of allied themselves with some of the cartels there. So that's not friendly territory.
What is a gang versus a cartel? Meaning, in Mexico, like here we have gangs.
Yeah.
We don't really have cartels, or maybe not the Mexican version of a cartel. But do the gang members get sort of caught up in the cartels, or do they kind of remain separate entities?
They're contractors.
Oh, they're contractors.
So imagine you're Sinaloa cartel moving into Chicago and you want to set up distribution there. The golden chain, the pointy booted persona is not going to fit in well in South Side Chicago.
Right.
So I need locals.
Mm-hmm.
So you need partnerships and distributions with some of these people. And then you need loyalty. So you're going to have some sort of organism there that is going to enforce your loyalty with these people that are going to distribute for you. So basically, there's numbers out there that are over 150 to 190 armed groups in Mexico moving around. By this I mean gangs of people dedicating themselves to drug trafficking, to protecting, to extortion, to prostitution, to moving people around. And what these small groups basically do is like, hey, look, I have a bunch of guys with guns, and we're very well respected in the area. Hey, Sinaloa cartel, you want to hire us on as contractors? We'll take care of this part, the space for you.
Right.
So that's kind of the realm of the gangs specifically, to be both present security, to safeguard areas of local distribution, because that's one of those elements that a lot of people don't think about. Mexico has a giant drug market in and of itself.
Oh, yeah. Everyone always thinks in terms of cartels and bringing all the drugs into the United States, but you forget Mexicans like to get high, right?
Yeah, a lot. From licking toads in Sonora to factories producing fentanyl now in Mexico. The drug market in Mexico itself is what pushes a lot of the violence that you see as far as the death toll. So, example of this, Tijuana. Most of the deaths in Tijuana right now being reported. There's a lot of Americans live in Tijuana, and they're like, "Hey, I don't see the violence. Like, what's this whole thing about the violence here?" It's related to people selling drugs on a corner, getting shot by the rival distribution networks, and then them getting vengeance on the other guy, shooting that guy. So in a night, you have 5, 6, 8 distributors being killed on the street corners.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, part of it is just kind of us thinking that the world revolves around us, even when it comes to doing drugs, because we're constantly thinking about us and drugs and demand, but we never, and that the cartels are there just to serve us, essentially, meaning citizens of the United States. But you never really think about, Mexicans, they want to do drugs too, and the cartels are right there. You don't have to cross the border. Do you have any idea what how a percentage would break down? Like if you're the Sinaloa cartel, how much of your business is in the United States versus in Mexico?
A lot of their business is basically based around trafficking drugs is one of their main businesses, right? Mm-hmm. But also, I don't know about percentages, but like ways they make money, trafficking drugs, selling drugs locally. Local drug markets are a big moneymaker for them as well. Protection, extortion, money laundering. Money laundering is a pretty interesting one.
Let's talk about that because we never really talk about the money laundering.
Yeah, it used to be money laundering. You would have people in Mexico dedicating themselves to money laundering. Over the years, the U.S. has implemented certain strategies with the Mexican government to make it harder for people to move money around. I mean, you see examples of this in L.A. The garment district in L.A., the high fashion district in L.A. was a giant Sinaloa cartel front to move money in and out of Mexico.
Really?
Yeah. There's been a series of major money busts in the garment district in the fashion district of L.A. 30 million, 40 million, that type of. I mean, I'm talking about these types of numbers, where sometimes you would have to drive cash loads down to Tijuana or down to Sinaloa or wherever. That's too risky. So they've been trying to figure out different ways of doing it. And one of those ways is to basically buy, let's say there's a store that sells high-value garments here in LA. I go and make a cash payment of these garments. These garments are sent down in Mexico. They're resold down in Mexico, and the profit goes to whoever wants to clean that money. That was one way they would do it. But now you're starting seeing new players coming into this whole money trafficking, money laundering game. High amount people from China, because of why not?
Right.
The Chinese are kind of taking control of the money laundering game for the cartels in the U.S., in places like Canada, and also obviously in Mexico. So you're starting seeing these individuals from China that have companies or have connections with companies that will take some of that drug money, infuse it into some of these Chinese companies that are working in the U.S. or companies that have assets in the U.S. and also in China, and injecting that money into some of these cash transfer apps from China into China. And basically, they make a virtual wall for law enforcement agencies in the U.S. because China and the U.S. don't talk financially.
Right. Every time we talk, it seems like Chinese and China's presence in Mexico seems to be growing. We're talking about them building the labs, the fentanyl labs, them having the experience, technology to build those labs that the cartels don't. Chinese are pretty good at ingratiating themselves into situations, stealing technology, making money off it.
Well, the example of how they're hiding, how they're making money off moving money for the cartels that they supply with that they supply with precursors to make drugs. There's a case right now, Gang Xiangbing. I'm sorry, I'm not.
All right.
I can't pronounce that. $530,000 laundered. There's a case in Chicago right now. It's related to basically somebody from the cartels hiring that guy to launder the money. So the interesting thing about the rules, as you say, the Chinese don't follow the rules that the Americans have. This is law and order and all that. So they make the money disappear by grabbing it, putting it into China, into the Chinese financial system, and then having that money sent to other companies in Mexico and turning them into pesos before they get there. They're not going to turn to dollars, and the money just
disappears.
It's legal now. Again, well, yes. I mean, it's not legal. It just made its transfer into cartel hands down south, right?
Are the what is in terms of the drugs of choice in Mexico? Is it about the same as here, or they have a particular preference?
So one thing straight up that I can tell you is you have here in California, your weed game is, there's no comparison to weed from California in the world, I think, right now. So Mexicans, a lot of Mexicans like weed a lot, but they don't know that they're suffering with the horrible, shitty, dry ass weed with a bunch of sticks in it. So that's one thing that gets consumed a lot by young people in Mexico, and a lot of those proceeds actually go into local cartels, basically, because of the.
So the cartels bringing drugs from California, marijuana, into Mexico?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people do it, and some organized crime elements are actually bringing medical grade or some of the stuff you have available up here. They're putting it into Mexico. So it's a weird thing. You're seeing some of these smoke canisters down there now, vaping canisters down there now. And they just legalized recreational marijuana in Mexico, but it's a slow process. So it's like one of those things that's too little, too late in a way.
We sort of decriminalized it here. It used to be a pretty big money maker for the cartels, marijuana, bringing it over here, right? And then we kind of eliminated that by making it ourselves and decriminalizing it.
Yeah, but now they have companies up here that invest in. Now they have illegal grows happening in public lands on the U.S. side that they manage. Now you have weird synthetic cannabinoids being mixed in with the stuff that is available publicly legally, and people don't know what they're smoking. And sometimes, and a lot of it is, U.S. based cartel activity now. So it's not the line isn't there where, the cartels are doing something with weed on that side and something else is happening on this side. I mean, they're on both sides of it.
And then how we with fentanyl?
I mean, it's right now. Right now, the fentanyl is basically being utilized to give a kick to everything. Right, bogus pain medication laced with fentanyl, fentanyl laced heroin, and right now just making fake pills, just having big giant presses making fake pain pills that are basically fentanyl laced pills. That
might be passed off as Oxycontin or some version of pharmaceutical pill.
There's a bunch of pictures online, some of them posted by law enforcement agencies here in the U.S. that I've seen, and I've seen some of the fake pain medication, and they're not. I mean, if you're a pillhead, you can tell the difference, right? But they're getting pretty good at faking them now. I mean, the packaging, everything is pretty interestingly.
How much of that is China?
Most of it. I mean, they're the ones that sell. They're the ones that manufacture and sell the pill presses. They're the one that manufacture and sell the packaging situation for them, and they're the ones that basically set up the pipeline of some of these precursors into Mexico and sometimes into the U.S. as well. Because some of the stuff is also coming in directly from China to here and being utilized in fabrication in the U.S. by cartels.
So cartels are just sort of ever evolving. They have to kind of stay ahead of the game. They have to diversify all the time. You hear about human trafficking a lot. It always sounds weird to me that there's human trafficking in, now 2021. What do the cartels do vis-a-vis human trafficking?
I mean, human trafficking is a moneymaker in a lot of ways. It's one of their biggest moneymakers. Basically, they're the landlords of the border. So if there's a border and there's a possibility to cross there undetected, it means that somebody owns it on the cartel side. So they're landlords there. So they get a cut of everybody going into that region to try and cross the border. If you go to some of these places, and I'm going to have to upload some of those images and videos of some of these places on my Instagram account if people want to check it out. But it's there's like these little shops there. So you can buy your camouflage, your hunting camo setup so you can cross the border, but you have to buy it. And the cartels sell it to you. You can have your 72-hour bag that they sell to you as well, with water and cannery and stuff like that. They'll sell you shoes with carpets on the bottom. So they'll kit you out, but you have to pay for it.
Shoes with carpets on the bottom.
Yeah, they're meant to not leave tracks. They're pretty hit and miss as far as their effectiveness, but and also things like black plastic water jugs, so they're not reflective, so that you don't get seen when you're moving around in the desert. All of that gets paid to in these little stores that are run by the cartel. So that's making the money. Also, the passage, paying a coyote to cross you, that costs money. $5,000, $8,000, depending on who, how, and where. And some of these things are basically, some of the people doing that will basically write an IOU to the cartels or the criminal group that crosses them. So now they're, in all senses of the word, indentured servants to some of these people.
So most people trying to get across don't have $5 or $8 grand laying around, that have enough for the kit and the carpet shoes and everything like that, but they'll work it off. I'm curious, I'll tease the answer. What industries are they working it off in, or what are the main industries they're working it off in? And then how do you enforce somebody working it off if, in fact, they just go off into the night and settle somewhere? How do you get your $8,000 back? I'll tease that. I got to do a quick spot here. I'll tell you about Simply Safe. Well, Ed knows about protection. He knows about security. And Simply Safe does as well. It's break-ins, fires, floods, medical emergencies. Simply Safe Home Security award-winning 24/7 protection. Not only an arsenal of sensors, you also get the best professional monitors in the business. They've got you. They got your back day and night, ready to send police, fire, EMTs. We use these guys. Everyone here uses Simply Safe. They've been a sponsor for over a decade now. You can peel and stick. The batteries last up to, there's no wires, there's no drilling, there's no crawling underneath the house. Up and running in 30 minutes. Simply Safe's professionals monitor 24/7, ready to send help at a moment's notice. Ever hear that alarm? No long-term contracts, no hidden fees, no installation costs. And right now, you get a free security camera with the purchase of Simply Safe. SimplySafe.com/Am. You get that free camera and 60-day free trial as well at SimplySafe.com. All right, quick break. Back with specialists, international security specialist and combatives instructor and man who knows all things Mexico, Ed Calderon, right after this. So, Ed, before the break, we were teasing the cartels and the human trafficking, and it's insane to me that there's still human trafficking going on in this modern era, but it's a little bit different than, I don't know, bringing people over in a container ship and selling them as sex slaves, or not?
I don't think it is.
Really?
I think the only thing that changes in people it's the way it's presented, right? So you talk about slave ships, that's one thing. But people are being put into containers and left in the desert to maybe die of heat stroke. So that does happen. Women are usually sexually assaulted several times before they make it to the border, and sometimes if they find them of a certain type, they might not let them cross the border and use them for sex trafficking in Mexico or the U.S.
So if you are coming from El Salvador, Honduras, or Nicaragua or something like that, and you're trying to pass through Mexico, and you're going to need the cartel's help and a coyote to get from Mexico to Los Angeles. If you're young and you're beautiful, they'll go, hold on.
Yeah.
We'll keep you here.
We'll keep you here. We'll keep you here, or we'll just abduct you, or we will keep two of your family members separate from you and basically use you as leverage towards them or them towards you. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of psychological stuff like that happens. Like some people just don't realize that some of the places where prostitution is prevalent in Mexico and in the U.S. in some places, they just why don't these women just run? Because they're highly motivated programmers that work with them, from women to men that are there just to groom them as sex slaves in a way, and or sex workers. And it's an art form to them. So people going across that border for different reasons. I mean, they want to meet up back with family that are living over here. They want the American dream. Some of them want to just they want to figure out a way to make money, whatever they are. But the amount of people that just disappear in that divide between, hey, I'm going up there to the U.S., I'll send you a message when I'm up there, and just people disappear, right? The amount of people that disappear just in the desert from trying to wing it themselves or just being abandoned by a coyote, and the amount of people that just disappear is staggering. I don't think there's any place like it in the world where just people just vanish, like in Mexico. And a lot of it has to do with just people are used as a commodity by some of these groups down there.
So getting back to the payment plan, they front you the coyote and the travel kit and all that kind of stuff. You cross in here with your carpet slippers on. You get to Los Angeles and you got to get a job, and now you got to pay them back.
Yeah, well, sometimes it could be you front yourself, the cartel fronts you, or family members on the U.S. side front you.
Mm-hmm.
And the cartels might call somebody, your cousin Antonio that lives in L.A. that works 3 jobs or something like that. Hey, your sister? Yeah, well, we have her. She crossed the border. Yeah, but what, told you 5,000? Yeah, it's got to be 10 now.
Mm-hmm. And so he's got to pay it back.
Yeah. So that in any other part of the world, that's abduction for ransom, right?
Right.
That goes on in the U.S. every day. But the problem is that they focus on the immigration populace, which doesn't report anything.
Right. So nobody's going to drop a dime on these guys because
perfect crime.
Right, because they don't. It's sort of like ripping off a drug dealer.
Yeah.
If the drug dealer didn't retaliate.
Yes, and I'm not saying that every single person that crosses the border and comes up here and works at a picking lettuce or working at a winery that a certain governor owns or whatever, whatever.
Newsom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Essential workers.
Yes.
Essential workers. If you're picking grapes there, it was open during COVID, but fact check me if you want. But I'm not saying that all of them are paying dues to the cartels, but a big portion, all of them had to, in some way, shape, or form, put money into the pockets of criminal groups to get up here. It's just there's no way around it. It's not a. And if nothing happened to them, something could happen to other people that went through that same process that they did. It's one of those things where sometimes people call me out because of me talking about some of these things. Like, what if you had to go through that process? I'm like, well, I mean, it'd be a rough one, but it's not a victimless crime. It's a thing. There's a lot of people that go in through that process and don't come out, and you never hear about them.
What does the Mexican government have any interest in stymieing this or slowing it down or doing anything to thwart it?
One of the pillars of the Mexican economy is Mexicans coming up here, working, and sending money back down to Mexico.
Right.
One of the biggest pressure points that Trump actually pressed on the Mexican government was threatening to charge certain tariffs of Mexicans in the U.S. sending money back down to Mexico. That was what the government down there was like, oh, that's, what do you want, basically? So it's the backbone. So Mexico as a government, I think, just has no will to stymie the ability of Mexicans to cross the border illegally. It's just not the case.
Well, you think about what a large part of your economy that would be, people going into another country and then just sending money back. That's the ultimate Ponzi scheme. I mean, it's the gift that keeps giving. You don't have to build any infrastructure or warehouses or roads, or you don't do anything. You just send the money, send the money back. But they must have a way to tax that money.
I mean, that's the thing. Mexico is a wild land. I think the past administration was the first one that tried to regularize commerce in Mexico. What I mean by that is most people were doing commerce irregularly on the street, or just starting business in the backyard. The whole, just like here in LA, some people are doing it, right? But
how does one tax? How does the tax system work in Mexico?
If you want to put your money in a bank, you're going to get you're going to get a tax. Basically, El SAT, basically our IRS is going to figure out how much to tax you, and you have to go through a process of setting up a company and paying all the taxes on it. It's not easy, and most people just go around it. And historically, many people would just, that have been just going around it. Basically, it's irregular. It's the Wild West. Mexico's the Wild West.
Is it more so the Wild West in 2021 than it was in 1980?
Well, death toll wise, it is more so Wild West right now. I mean, you would think that deaths would have slowed down because of COVID, as far as violent deaths that involve lead, not viruses. Not the case. It's the bloodiest year in our modern history. Yeah,
bloodiest year in history
in modern history for Mexico.
It's weird because we just don't really report on it out here. We just don't feel like there's an appetite for it.
I think it has something to do with I don't know, the political will up here is weird, as far as left versus right. And I've been looking at what's been happening yesterday and today, kind of seeing some of the aftermath of the whole thing. And people want to put everybody in a box or a side. If you're from Mexico or you're Mexican descent or Latin, you have to be on one side. If you're not, then you have to be on the other. I think the silence you hear on reporting from that side, reporting from Mexico into U.S. is because both sides of the political aisle are ashamed of some of the weird stuff that happens down there in plain sight of everybody.
Well, the news outlets in the United States are pretty left leaning and pretty progressive. I know some people don't think that, but if you take a look at CNN's reporting, it's, pretty left-leaning. And it doesn't seem to behoove them to paint Mexico or Mexicans as anything other than hardworking, struggling family people who are yearning for a better life. Like that's their theme. And having a bunch of dead people and drug cartels and all that doesn't seem to fit with their narrative. So maybe that's why we're not getting the straight dope.
I get that too. Hey, Ed, you're from Mexico. Why don't you speak about the beautiful things about Mexico? Well, I wasn't a tourist agent. I was working fighting against cartels down there. Mexico has a lot of hardworking people, has a middle class. There's a lot of culture. Coco was an amazing film. Tortillas are awesome. Tacos are great. All that's great. But also, people disappear at an industrial level down there. Cartels own states. There's a no-fly zone over Sinaloa because cartels have anti-aircraft capabilities.
Really? Let's talk about that.
But so it is.
Is that Russian stuff or Chinese stuff?
Or
American stuff.
I've seen American stuff from the 90s that you probably, when I say you, I mean the U.S. probably sold it to friendly forces in South America. And those South American friendly forces said, ooh, fire sale. So everybody gets their own rocket launcher, manpad, remote control, missile guided systems and stuff like that. That's and now you're getting Russian Soviet bloc era RPG type artifacts found all over Mexico, and just people just making drone technology into bombs now. Even personnel carriers. There's a video I posted on my Instagram if you want to see it. It's a video of a quad drone carrying a smuggler as a test. It's a cartel's version of the Iron Man suit test, I think. A weird thing.
edsmanifesto.com.
Yeah, at the Instagram on Eds Manifesto. It's like a third post.
I'd like to see that video.
There you go. That's that's cartel Tony Stark testing his.
Is that an electric motor or gas powered?
I think that's a gas powdered quad drone.
It seemed like it.
Those are Chinese made. It's not specific.
There's a guy basically hanging on a couple of skis, like right and left, like he'd be hanging off a parallel bar at a park or something. It's got this quad. I guess it's quad.
It's a quad. It's a large quad drone. It's pretty. Well, no, it's
it looks like it has five or six propellers on there, and one could theoretically pop up, go over a wall, and drop down on the other side. Is that that's what we're talking about?
Or prison break, or one of the first drug drones that found in Mexico was in Tijuana, and I took a picture of it. It looked like one of those. This is the thing where the arms race and they're always trying to figure things out. So the Mexican government is still fighting it as a police problem. They think they're fighting a gang with, let's set up patrols here, let's put more cop cars here, let's do this, let's do that. They're fighting the same war in the same way for 20 years, and these guys are now they fly, Right. Now they can fly.
So they never stop innovating.
No, they never stop innovating, and also, it's an insurgence. It's a narco insurgency in Mexico. It's not a police problem. It's not a Mexican DARE program won't change it. Community policing won't change it. Is the systemic corruption in Mexico is not helping, but it's an insurgency. I mean, I think the denial on both sides of the border that Mexico was involved in an internal conflict that is more akin to an insurgency than a gang problem, because that's what people think it is. But they have rocket launchers, they're transnational, they have submarines. Fully submersible ones now. Apparently, I one of the first times I came on here, I talked about they had access to fully submersibles, but none had been captured till then. Well, that changed during the first part of this year. They found a fully submersible now in I think in Colombia.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they would have these kind of semi-submersible ones that would leave a smaller radar, footprint, but they weren't fully submersible.
Yeah.
This is like the technology of going fully is kind of a leap between the semi.
Well, from what I know they have the capability and have had the capability for more than a decade. And the U.S. just has not caught on to it till recently.
Do we have any pictures of that fully submersible that they were able to? And how did they find it, and where did they find it?
I think it was in Colombia. It's they make them down there. There's a bunch of boat yards basically making these semi-submersibles, and I think the leap came for them technology-wise with the batteries.
Right.
So these are battery powered, and they got access to some pretty legit good batteries that would sustain them for the long haul.
Yeah. Well, the thing is you can't run an internal combustion engine underwater unless there's an air source. So you can't be fully submersible and not run off batteries. Even American, World War II submarines ran off of batteries once they were at depth. It's kind of crazy if you think about the 40s. So there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of them. I don't know if that's a fully submersible one, but there's been a lot of those. Also, there's small submersibles, like the ones that are like that they use in like that Titanic movie documentary used, that type of stuff.
Right. And
also just boats carrying some of the stuff underwater, dragging it as they go with buoy systems that will activate when somebody comes to pick up something. That happens too.
Oh, so they drag them under the water.
Yeah.
In case somebody shows up.
Yeah, somebody shows up and they'll just release it, and it'll go down. And when they want it, they'll activate the beacon.
And it'll pop back up. Oh. So they have like an inflatable beacon. They'll have it weighted. If the Coast Guard shows up, they'll cut the tether.
That's an old way, but they still do that, and that on a par with drones flying things over the border, drug tunnels. Somewhere in the vicinity of 50, according to some people.
Yeah, where are we with the drug tunnels? Because it was something we were talking about before. It seemed pretty insane.
Yeah, how
they did those.
They're still active. I mean, you can tell by the only thing that's fluctuated a bit in price has been fentanyl and fentanyl related products. And the only reason and meth had a bit of fluctuation during COVID, but it was mostly related to the fact that one of the cartels in Mexico didn't have access to a port, which is Sinaloa cartel. They didn't have access to Pacific side ports like the New Generation cartel, which is that big cartel that's expanding right now down there. So you saw the disparity between these two cartels. One of them was getting pumped with everything they needed from China because they control one of the biggest ports in Mexico on the Pacific side. And the other one was smuggling fentanyl from San Diego into Tijuana. So,
right.
So their prices were...
How much competition / killing / conglomeration is there? I mean, are these guys willing to live and let live, or are they going to take over and eliminate other cartels?
Sinaloa cartel is a federation of cartels. Basically, it's a group of different cartels, different criminal organizations, kind of combined into one. Mm-hmm. And there's rivalries and infighting. El Chapo's, a lot of the El Chapo's kids that were left behind in charge are fighting with factions of another Sinaloa cartel cell, and there's killings happening in Sinaloa, and there's a lot of that. But you go south and to New Generation cartel territory, and those guys are just expanding. They're not in it. Their style is completely different. They're kind of militaristic. They have a very militarized way of going into towns and going into hearts and minds, and building hospitals for people, paying for immigration processes, getting people started up with small business in the U.S. side by injecting cash into their lives and then saying, "Hey, dude, now we own you." Basically, now you're on the U.S. side, and also just recruitment. These guys are recruiting ex-military, ex-police. They're investing in training. Most of the videos that are out online right now, these guys in full military regalia with rocket launchers and stuff like that, kind of like in a full display of power. Most of them are from this cartel. That's the route they're taking. They're not taking the classic cartel route where we're going to hide in the hills. No, these guys are like, we're the army now. That's their kind of mentality in some of the regions where they're operating.
I always ask this, but is there any end in sight? Anything short of like a full military intervention from the United States?
I don't see it. I don't see anything other than first treating them as what they are and declaring them as what they are. They're a terrorist organization. There are multiple small terrorist organizations working through terror to grow in their influence, to remain in their power, to keep their drug markets, and to push the political agenda in Mexico that fits their interest the most. And they fit all of the parameters except that they're not from the Middle East.
How's the current administration in Mexico with the cartels, and what would happen if the president of Mexico declared war on the cartels?
The last time something overtly happened like that, where a president declared war on the cartels, was the Felipe Calderon administration, which was the administration where I was still active in. And it was very poorly planned. They overestimated the ability of the army to do anything specific to counteract, to go into a policing counter narcotics role in Mexico. And there was corruption at the highest levels. So basically, Felipe Calderon's right-hand man, Garcia Luna, is now under arrest in the U.S. and is being prosecuted for cartel relationships. And that was your number 2 in Mexico when the war was declared against the cartels.
Right.
It didn't turn out too well because it depended on the Mexican army, and the Mexican army has historically been corrupted at various levels, as we saw with this recent arrest that may or may not be actually cartel related, but could be, maybe it's a case of mistaken identity. Maybe it's a case that this guy was actually working with the U.S. government in a way, and the left hand didn't talk to the right, whatever the case may be. And you saw that because later on, when they continued on the fight, the Mexican Marines took the place of the Mexican army. The El Chapo raid was done by the Mexican Marines, La Marina, not the Mexican army. So that's
the army couldn't be trusted. They've been compromised.
They've been compromised. So that the U.S. said, we're going to bet on those guys now. And now some of those guys they've shown up in places where they shouldn't be.
The Marines.
So
it really, everyone just stop for a moment and think about this concept. This country can't use its own army because the army's been bought.
Yeah.
If you really just think about that concept, picture that concept in the United States, picture that concept in Canada or Europe, where you go, sorry, Sweden can't use their Air Force.
No,
it's been corrupted.
Or just the image of your president somewhere. Imagine you have a president, and you have something the Americans can equate him to. Let's say you have a gangster era guy, Capone. Mm-hmm. You have Al Capone. What would happen if the president of the United States during the time of Al Capone would have when he was arrested? What if the president of the United States would have gone to visit Al Capone's mom and his lawyer, and in front of the cameras shook hands and I'll fix it, I'll figure it out? What would happen? Like what would happen in the minds of Americans if something like that happened?
Well, you kind of cease being a nation, I guess.
Yeah,
like
a failed state.
Yeah, if your army can't be trusted, then I just don't know what kind of nation you would be. You would be a failed state. Yeah, it's
again. I go back to the whole denial. We're in denial as in the U.S. and in Mexico. They're just in denial that it's a failed state, that it's a cartel state in certain parts of it, and that trying to invest in Mexico, as all of us are doing through our taxes, and paying for things like uniforms, guns, police cruisers, police salaries, down in Mexico because of the bilateral kind of efforts that the U.S. has and agreements that the U.S. has with Mexico to fight the cartels. And all that money we're pumping into it, and we're going into the bloodiest year in our history. So it's not doing anything. And the fentanyl epidemic up here is just insane.
So up here, you're talking about Mexico or you're talking about SoCal?
We're talking about U.S.
U.S. It strikes me that these cartel guys are great business people, and they don't want a bunch of bad ink.
Yeah.
And so you don't really hear about trouble going on in tourist locations.
Yeah.
People here happily go to Puerto Vallarta and have drinks and eat and rent a house and blah, blah, blah. So it would seem to me that would be a political kind of disaster for them, for a cartel to go shoot up a hotel or something like that.
Something like that recently happened, and it's pretty interesting.
I want to know.
There's a restaurant in Puerto Vallarta. Was it Puerto Vallarta? I think it was. There's a former governor of the state goes and eats at this restaurant and gets assassinated there. That's pretty high level in Mexico. If you're a former governor and you get assassinated, the rumor is that he was assassinated in. This is one of those. It's an area that is high. It's high monetary value of people that live there. The restaurant is high value restaurant. So this is not a place where things like that happen. These are places where people pay for protection. These are places where companies and stuff like that. There's an agreement with all levels of whatever legit and cartel government are there. So things don't happen there usually. But this guy got shot. And the whole kind of rumor is that he was working with another cartel in that area, and the cartel that it's a rival. Oh, you think you're safe here because you work with him? Boom. There you go.
But you don't hear anything about tourists being shot, or you would know.
Yeah,
don't let me tell you. I just mean, it just seems like it would be bad for business.
It is bad for business, but the thing is that you have to think about this like in this way. Some of these groups do have a sway and or influence and or own some of these places that are highly touristic, and it's in their best interest for things not to happen there. So if you're my rival and I want to create insecurity and disrupt your business, I'll go there and do something.
Oh.
And sometimes things like that do happen. Sometimes Americans do get in situations where they're in the crossfire in some of these places, or some things don't get reported. Sometimes things happen in Mexico and just don't get reported. People get express kidnapping done on them. They get driven to an ATM. They get emptied out. They go on a plane. They come to the U.S. and they don't want to go to Mexico anymore. And that's just that. They got off free in a way, or alive. A lot of stuff. The thing that sometimes there's nobody to report to in Mexico. Most crimes never get solved in Mexico. It's a black hole in that way. So again, Wild West, and we don't hear about some of these things most times because nobody cares down there in a lot of ways. And some of these places traditionally are kind of safe, but as things are right now in Mexico, where there's a power play between two giant cartel organizations that have influence, not just in Mexico but in the U.S., Canada. Some of these groups have links all the way to Europe and Africa and Asia. The rules are going to change. So it's that I think that's what you're seeing right now when things that traditionally didn't happen are happening now. Ex-governors getting executed. Overt money laundering from Chinese state actors of some sort, moving drug money. That's been cracked wide open by a few news sources out there. So I'm not saying anything secret, but it's all that stuff usually didn't happen before. So you're seeing basically like it's gearing up towards something, right? And if you kind of see it, if you stand back and look at it, it seems like the new generation cartel is some sort of somehow sponsored by China or Chinese state. And it seems like the Sinaloa cartel is the one that the U.S. favors, as far as we'd rather keep the status quo with them. That's what it seems like from a Mexican perspective.
To me, the Chinese influence is scary because A, they're scary. B, they seem like they want to innovate and not go old school. Maybe there was an old school mentality that, people, I guess the mob had it over here, you just leave the wife and kids out of the equation, or there's a certain etiquette almost. And it seems like the Chinese are just like, let's figure out how much money we can make as fast as we can make it, and let's bring a bunch of innovation versus a kind of old school mentality to it. And it seems like that's going to move things along in a negative direction at a much faster speed.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I mean, if they are your main adversaries on a global scale, they have a president for life. And you got and the U.S. doesn't. The U.S. is struggling right now between two people and a one-term president and strife and people in the Capitol building wearing buffalo helmets and all this stuff happening. And I can't help but imagine the enemies of this country are just eating popcorn and kind of patting each other on the back somehow.
Oh, they had to enjoy the freak show from the other day. Let me give you a plug, Ed. edsmanifesto.com is where you go. Also, you can check out him. He will teach courses in anti-abduction techniques, weaponology, how to hide weapons as well.
Yeah.
You can shoot him a tweet, by the way, on Instagram at edmanifesto as well, and see some of these amazing images that Ed has, maybe even the donkey show. I don't know if he's put that up on his Instagram page yet, but he's laughing. He showed me a picture last time.
It's real. It's real.
It's real. And I got to tell you, you're talking to the one podcast host that literally scoured every inch of Tijuana looking for that donkey show when I was 17. Came up snake eyes and then announced it was nothing but an urban lore. But Ed Calderon's here to tell me that donkey's real. It ain't the chupacabra, people. All right. Last but not least, Geico. Do you own? Do you rent? Well, you do one or the other. You want to bundle? You want to bundle your homeowners and your renters insurance with the automotive insurance? You do that with Geico. Go to geico.com. You find out just how fast you can get yourself a quote. It is easy, and you can visit them and figure out just how much you can save when you bundle at Geico. That is geico.com. Ed, where did the hour go? I'll tell you, man, it always flies because you show up here with so much information. And the average American just has no goddamn idea what's going on over there in old Mexico. Again, edsmanifesto.com is the website. Good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you.
We'll do it again soon. Until next time, Adam Carolla for Ed Calderon, Gina Grad, and Bald Ryan saying mahalo.